Hear this. The organization running the biggest sporting event on Earth right now doesn't own a single stadium, doesn't pay for a single road, a single security guard, or a single hotel room. And yet, it's about to walk away with somewhere north of $11 billion. Meanwhile, the cities actually hosting the games are the ones footing most of the bill. This is how FIFA turned the World Cup into one of the most unbalanced business models in modern sports. Let's start with the scale of what's actually happening right now, because it's genuinely the biggest version of this tournament that's ever existed. 48 teams instead of the usual 32, 104 matches, spread across 3 countries at once: the United States, Canada, and Mexico. More teams means more games. More games means more broadcast hours. And more broadcast hours means more money. Because broadcasting is actually the single biggest slice of FIFA's revenue pie. For this cycle alone, FIFA is projected to pull in something like $3.9 billion just from selling the rights to show these games on TV and streaming platforms around the world. And that's just one slice. Add in roughly $3 billion from ticketing and hospitality packages, and another $2.8 billion from sponsorship deals with companies who want their logo next to the biggest audience in sports. And you start to see how FIFA's total revenue for this 4-year cycle climbs past $11 billion, and by some estimates, closer to 13. Here's the part that should genuinely bother you a little. FIFA is technically registered as a non-profit organization in Switzerland, which sounds almost funny once you know the actual numbers involved, because a non-profit pulling in $13 billion over 4 years is not exactly what most people picture when they hear that term. So, where does all that money actually go? A decent chunk goes to the teams themselves. Every single one of the 48 qualifying nations gets a guaranteed payout just for showing up, somewhere around $12.5 million minimum, even if they lose every single group stage game and go home in last place. Go further in the tournament, and the payouts scale up fast, with the eventual winner reportedly taking home something in the range of $40 million just in prize money. All said and done, the total prize pool for this tournament is close to $900 million, easily the largest in the tournament's history. Now here's where the business model gets genuinely uncomfortable. And it's the same pattern that shows up almost every time a country hosts a mega event like this. FIFA captures nearly all of the actual profit. The host cities and their taxpayers absorb nearly all of the actual cost. Stadium upgrades, transportation improvements, security for millions of visiting fans. None of that is coming out of FIFA's pocket. It's coming out of local and national government budgets. This edition is actually a bit smarter about that problem than past ones, and it's worth giving credit where it's due. Because the tournament is spread across 3 countries instead of 1, and because most of the stadiums being used already exist, the organizers avoided the single most expensive and riskiest part of hosting a World Cup, which is building brand new stadiums from scratch that often sit half empty for years afterward. Compare that to somewhere like Qatar in 2022, which reportedly spent over $200 billion building an entire hosting infrastructure basically from nothing. And here's the twist that economists keep pointing out. Even though host cities love to promise a huge economic windfall before these events happen, the actual research on this is pretty consistently unflattering. The bump in local business, hotels, restaurants, transportation is usually real but genuinely short-lived, lasting weeks rather than years. Meanwhile, FIFA's revenue relationships with broadcasters and sponsors are locked in for years at a time. So the honest summary is this. The host country gets a month-long party and a global spotlight. FIFA gets 4 years of guaranteed billions. Those are simply not the same size of prize, even though only one side put up the actual bill. So next time you're watching a match and marveling at the atmosphere in a packed stadium, remember, somebody spent a small fortune building that atmosphere, and it probably wasn't the organization whose logo is plastered across every single camera angle. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. I break down business stories like these every week.